Hi, welcome to the Grow for Show. I'm Schwoobydoo, doing it solo again because I love it. Is busy. Today's episode's going to be kind of by the seat of the pants. I have a little bit of a downloader show and explanation for topping for people who don't understand. Oh, feedback. There we go. Anyways, I have a little bit of a demo for topping, just kind of show you what's going to happen to your plant, what to expect, and pretty much how to do it in an effective manner that you're not kind of worried about it. Because first time I did it, I was terrified I was going to just mangle my plant. And it turned out it was a lot easier than I thought. So, just kind of recap. We have a giveaway going on right now, the Grow for Show. We're giving away a pack of Arise by Irie Genetics. All you have to do is like and follow us on Instagram, because I love it, Schwoobydoo, and the show Grow for Show, and tag 5 people in the post. And you are automatically entered to win. That being said, recap on the garden, what's going on there. I have week 6 has just started there last night for the Irie tent. What's going on there, kind of a recap, is the Storm Shadow, Strawberry Starburst, Dragon Punch, Space Force, Scarlet Begonias. I have an 8K38 or 8K39 plant I'm growing. It's not Irie Genetics. It's just kind of a keeper I've kept along. As well as, there's one more, Dark Hollow. They're all doing fairly well. Mostly starting to swell up. I have Golden Goat tucked in there as well. It's about a week or two behind, but it is, like always, producing the football, so I'll let it do its own thing. So without kind of staying long anymore, with the breeding project for Operation Grow, I haven't been on the show lately. I've been busy with the wife. She broke her ankle, as we've kind of noted. So been busy with the kids and family. I've cut down the plants for the breeding project. They've been drying for about 3 weeks now. They're nice and crispy. I wouldn't normally do that if I was going to consume the biomass. Just I'm going to end up drying it out, crumbling it with hands, picking the seeds out, and I might wash it for a bulba hash run. I might not. I might just make some edibles. We'll see. But out of that, I have done the first 15 seeds popped for the 8K39 cross to the Storm Shadow. They all popped within 36 hours, which I was very, very happy. Cheers, GMF. And so kind of just toss those. End up popping another 37 this morning, and they're all right here. I just checked on them. They're starting to crack slightly. Some are, most aren't. It's still early, so I'm not too worried about it. The seeds look nice and healthy, tiger stripes. There's one preemie seed that's kind of white, but it's fairly large, so I figured I'd try it out. Going on from there, the demo today, I was actually excited. I've been planning for this for a couple weeks now, and I just want to show you what topping does to your plant, how to effectively do it, and how many times you can do it to a plant, and what's going to happen with it. So I have 3 different strains here. We'll start with the first one that's been untopped. This is a cutting from the Scarlet Begonias. So pretty much when you take a cutting, if it's just a straight branch, it's going to continue just doing a single branch, and all the way going up, you'll see your node spacings. You got one here, one here, one here, one here. Sometimes on cuttings, they'll space a little bit. On fairly new, like fresh seeds, they will be pretty even. So you have a set of 2 and a set of 2. Sometimes you'll see 6. Very rarely you'll see 8. But when you do, I usually generally cut 1 or 2 of them out because it'll get too crowded. And I just find it's a lot of stress on the plant in that one section when it does put the weight on. But so we have this little stick pole here. It's doing fairly healthy. It was kind of neglected the last couple of days. Like I said, I've been busy. Looks a little bit hungry, but we'll get it nice and fixed up. So if this was going to be my starting gecko plant, I'm going to count on the up to the 4th or 5th node, depending what strain it is, because I know what scarlet begonias. If this one stretches, I'm actually finding out right now. I know that I'm going to cut it on the 4th node and kind of bush it out, try and control that height issue. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Now my 4th node, I'm going to cut right where that little piece comes out. Kind of hard effectively doing that and balancing on the keyboard. So now we have this cutting. This one's been top one. So now what should happen over the next, I'm going to say 6 to 8 days, you'll notice these little branches will kind of start competing for who's going to be top. They'll start stretching out galore. If you have your light closer, it will kind of prevent the stretch from happening as aggressively. But either way, you've just cut the atypical top. It's going to want to do its thing and pick a new one. So now you have two options with this. You can either throw it out, let it go to waste, compost it, not wasted. Or if you have, for instance, if you're growing organically and you have honey, or if you're not going organically and you have rooting hormone, sorry, my cat's chewing on the one plant. But if you have rooting hormone, what you're going to want to do, if you want to attempt to take a cutting and keep the genetics coming, you'll have your stem piece. I'm going to take my scissors. I'm going to make sure they're sterile. I'm going to cut minimum 45 degrees, but I'm going to try and keep the longest diagonal cut I can just to expose more open stem matter. So as you see, I'm kind of cutting up, gone up, there. Just kind of trim that excess sinew off. So now you have, see if it focuses, an entire face that's open. On the back part that's just bark, I will generally take my scissors and rough it up and just kind of peel the outer skin away. Just kind of break it open. Now at this point, I'm going to have a rooting hormone. That's what my personal preference is. I use a Promix. I think it's called Stimaroot. No particular reason why I chose that. It was on sale at my local grocery store. I think I paid $4 for it, and I've taken so far upwards of 800 with it, and it's still going. The only thing I would recommend is if you do use it, take the powder. Do not put your plant into the bottle and shake it around. Pour a little bit of powder out. You don't want to reuse this. Once it kind of gets in contact with plant matter, it may just kind of go sour on you. So why risk the entire batch when you can just do the single piece? So I'll take this. I'll have it sitting in water. I'll pull it out. I'll dip in the rooting hormone. From there, I'm either going to put it into a cup like such, or if I have an aeroponic cloner, I'm going to put the collar here, have it hanging down minimum 2 inches, and let it do its thing. Now, because it's a cutting, you want to not have so much green matter on it. It's going to try and use a lot of energy to maintain that. So what you can do is either A, get multiple cuttings on it. Each node spacing, you can take one in theory. Or you can just take one giant big one and just trim it down to what you need. If I was going to do multiple cuttings, I'll just show that here. I would keep that one gone, that one gone. Keep that one big leaf just because the small leaf hasn't opened up yet. And then I'll trim this one, last one as well. And from here, I'm going to go same thing, do a straight cut. Now, there would be my one cutting. That'll be my second one with an unprepared bottom. This would be my third one. It might be a little small for the machine. I'd like the stem to be at least 2 inches. Though the instructions for the Clone King or Turbo Clone, it says 1.5 inches. And then for argument's sake, I'll make it easy. Let's trim that one off, do it clean. And there's my fourth one from a single branch of the top. So now you'll see kind of looks sad, kind of looks bare. Over the course of 8 days, you'll get something that looks like this. This is a different strain I have that's been topped once and left for a week afterwards. A lot more branching, as we see. This one has actually Space Force. So this is actually a shorter plant. It's tend to branches a little bit more, but the concept is basically the same. So from here, this has been topped once. I would then go through and I would pick out my atypical tops. Every branch coming up that's pretty much 4 inches from the top. If I have a foot size plant, I'm aiming to work with the top 4 inches. That's going to be my canopy. So from there, I'm going to, again, find my tops, go to the second lowest, the second top node, just trim it there. So there'd be a small cutting off that one. So put this on the table in front of you and do it. Go over here. This one here. I'm being educational and I'm getting my gardening done early. It's a win-win. Cheers. We just passed 7:10. I'm sorry for missing it. If you're watching the show, let us know what you're smoking on. I'm personally diving on a vape pen earlier today. It's King Louis the 13th. It's made by Elements. It's got it from the gray market. I'm currently in between grows. Like I said, I got the breeding project going, and I need something to kind of hold me over. Usually I stay away from the dab pens, but they're actually, I have to say they've improved over the last couple of years since I've last tried them. So again, I'm just going to go through and trim the nodes. You don't have to go right tight to it. You can leave a little space. That stem's just going to dry off, as you see, and end up just kind of turning into hemp, just stock. Here, I trim this one. I will trim this one too. Pull it down. I think I got all the ones I'm going to deal with. These lower ones, I'm actually going to take other cuttings for and keep the cycle going. We'll get more into that for a perpetual grow to see how it's all working out for time-wise. We're going to try and stick to 4 plants for this series, even though, as you see, I have a little bit of more of a bracket to work with. But after, again, we'll go back to topic. So we started off with this. Now we're at this after about 2 weeks. And here we have something that's been topped and let sit for a little bit while. Again, still in solo cup. It's branched out quite a bit. Now we have a lot more to work with. So from here, this will be generally the end of my veg period. I will either throw a trellis up and start working my way through and trying to fill as much as I can. If I have not as many plants going, if I have multiple plants going and I know I'm going to try and fill that tent without a canopy, I will do either yo-yos, plant yo-yos, which attach to the roof and kind of same concept as a bungee cord. We'll just kind of hold on to it. When the weight is applied to it, kind of resist it. Just gives that extra support. I avoid wood stakes just because I like my eyes. I'm very klutzy in the sense I will bend over and not pay attention and skewer myself. There's also the option of just going through popping and twisting heavily on schedule. If you have time for it, it doesn't take long, but when you have multiple plants on the go, it does eat up a lot of my garden time. But back on topic, so we have here is, if I'm not mistaken, dark hollow. So like I said, I've topped this twice. I've let it do its own thing. It's kind of overgrown. I got to trim out the inside. If I'm going to, well, I'll show you quickly here. Shaving legs is a term used to kind of clearing out the lower growth. If you have a light, particularly LEDs, penetration isn't. I shouldn't say it's not the greatest. It's not as deep as some other lights that older generations used to. HPS has a little bit better penetration. So from my personal grow lights in the veg area, I know it's only about 8 inches of penetration. It's a little 300-watt burple in the small ceiling area, which is keeping this going, which is surprising. The next light I'll be using for this will be a Spider Farmer SF4000. That'll have about 12 to 18 inches, depending how close it is. So I generally, if this plant would be about 2 feet tall and flipping a flower, the first I'm going to say 9 inches to plant, I'm stripping right down. So I'm going to leave nothing left. So I'm going to quickly kind of clear it out, kind of ramble as I do it, and I'll show you quickly where I end up. For everyone here who's watching, thank you for joining the show. It's kind of odd doing it by yourself, but you know, me and Cuz are both family men. I get it. We both have full-time jobs as well. For the giveaway as well, I'd like to note for international entries, I'm putting together a TMB Naturals gift box. It'll have the enhancer, some refills, some stickers, maybe a shirt, maybe some PHP up and down. It'll be well worth your while. I try and kind of feel bad for not including you during the seed giveaway, but I like to try and keep it within the borders. The seeds there, it's not the easiest to get for us. And that being said, as I know there's quite a few Canadians that would love to get their hands on them, and I just don't have space to grow everything. As much as I would love a farm, doesn't always work out that way. So as you see, I'm just kind of cutting right close to the branch itself, going through. It looks messy. At the end, we'll clean up. Clear there. Like I said, if you're going to be taking cuttings, you would leave these, let these grow out a little bit, and then you actually have your next stock. Even if you want to just replace your mothers out, it's another way of doing it. So just to keep it in the sense of perspective and scale and ratio, got one more in here. Ugh. So as you see, everything on the inside, that bottom piece, I've now cleared off. So now we're left with this kind of shaved legs, as the term is. We now know why. And all this bush on top. We go further, and any leaf that's pointing inward towards the center, I'm just going to take out as well. I won't do it on camera because I like to take my time and kind of work the plant. I'll go through and pop and twist stems because this is really lanky. If this would start flowering on me, it's not going to have any strength to hold anything. So we're going to put that plant down over here. Kind of quickly clean up the mess before the wife kills me. Where are we at now? Oh, we have 2 minutes of 420 on the West Coast. So I'm going to take 2 minutes and say hi to everybody on the show. See who's joined in. We got Chris Mertz, Lori, Dozer, Ship, Supreme Grape. Thank you all for watching. Raptor's been hanging out. Thank you for supporting the show. Most of you guys who probably watch the show probably already know, but if you don't, there's also another show me and Cuz are kind of a part of. We pop in and out. It's The Neighborhood Grows. It's kind of where we all met up. A lot of intelligent, helpful people in there. If you have a question for growing or ecology, life in general, there's a lot of answers in the Discord group. I'd like to thank Mr. Bagseed for putting that together, because without that, we wouldn't have any of this today. Yeah, it's just it's nice to have like-minded people to bounce ideas off of. So we have about what? I'm gonna say 20 seconds left till 420. So I'm gonna pre-cheers you so you can have a nice little hoot in the middle. And yes, I said hoot. Oh, there's Aldi's in here too. Forgot about him. So now that we've shaved the legs, we've topped it, we're pretty much where we want to be for flower, except for, like I said, this plant would be a little bit lanky for me. So for something like this, I would trellis, or I'd wait 3-4 more weeks and I'd just pop and twist the hell out of it. Something along the lines of this one, where it's got a little bit of a bigger stalk. We're getting closer to what I like. Effectively, I'm not going to get the plant any taller and have more than double the height of this. So this is about a foot. I don't want anything more than 2 feet when I'm entering veg, because my ceiling cap is 6.5 feet. It has the most grow tents, unless you have one of the extended ones from, I believe, Secret Gardens has it, and as well as Gorilla Tents. Ship, you don't need to take them on the solo cups. You can just keep growing them in the solo cups. Save space. But like I said, I'd pop and twist, and I'd really, like I said, the dark hollow, I'd work into a trellis, so I'd probably take another week for that. Oh, it's not ready for flower, Mert. It's not. It's got at least 2 more weeks. I'll let it heal up a little bit. From personal experience, if you top right away and then flower a plant without giving it 10 to 14 days of resting time, you'll actually hurt your yields because the plant is trying to figure out what the atypical top is. It's moving hormones around inside of itself, and it needs to figure out where up is. Essentially, it's underwater, spun around, and doesn't know which way it's going. All it knows is the sun's this way and keeps going. If you're outdoors, if you're in a grow tent without a light mover, it just up. So it takes a little bit to refocus. Something like this, I'm probably gonna top one more time. I'm again Scarlet Begonias. It tends to get a little bit lanky. I'm gonna want to pop and twist that. And from the plant it came from, I know the stalk can get thick and robust and hold the weight. Um, if I had the time to put it into it. There's outside factors that go in against my gardening time, work, family. So it just depends how busy I am. And that said, a grow, I try and designate so much time. For instance, for my personal grow, I try and designate from 10:30 to about 1 o'clock in the morning, 1:30, and that's going to be my working in the garden time. Watering alone takes an hour because I do it by hand for the most part if I'm not running the auto pot. For people who don't know what autopot is, it's effectively a self-watering, gravity-fed watering system, irrigation system. You have a reservoir hooks up to anywhere from 1 to 100 pots. It's modular. You can add to it, and it just self-waters itself. So it has a little float in the valve, and as water goes in, it raises up, chokes it out, and as the plant drinks, the water goes down, opening the valve back up, and just kind of like up and down a seesaw. I find them very handy. There are things you have to watch out for. I have an older model, so the line itself is only a 1/4 inch, and it tends to get clogged up with gunkier materials for nutrient feeds. I have used a few different feeds myself. Personally, I use IPP, Innovative Plant Products. It's a Canadian company out of BC. They make a great product. It's cheap. The box set, the entire box lineup will cost you maybe $140 plus shipping to your door. If you're looking for that, I would check out the Hydro Connection in BC as well. They ship Canada wide. Ask for Lindsay; she's great to deal with. Also, I believe Grower's Choice. Although I will say I've ordered off them and it took forever to show up. They blame Canada Post. I blame them because they never got an order confirmation for like a week and a half after ordering it. So, who's at fault there? I don't know. I just know from my end, the experience was that. Yes, shipwreck hand water for the win. So for currently in my 5x5, I have 12 plants in there. They're in 1 gallon fabric pots. I will put 1 liter of water through them every night. If I notice though, it's getting oversaturated and like it just dumping through, I'll cut back to 750 milliliters. But either way, it's getting water every night. If I'm using a 3 gallon fabric pot, which I do flower in sometimes, or the auto pot is that as well. With the auto pot system, I will go through in mid to late flower 10 gallons of water a week. So 2 of those big blue jugs, fill them up, dump it in, perfect. It'll last me from Sunday when I fill it and mix it to the following Sunday. Usually Saturday, I'll clean it out, refill it, and then turn it back on Sunday morning and carry it on. Nice, Jim. Nice. Yes, it is a valid point. But if I ditch the family, there's not much to live for in that sense. And I actually switched jobs recently, and I enjoy my new job. It's fun. They're actually sending me out west in a couple weeks. So if you're out in the West Coast, hit me up on Instagram. Maybe we'll meet up and have a little sesh. Or maybe I'll have some beans on me. Who knows? Yes, Aldi, plant lives do matter. $7.25. Sorry, I can hear my kids screaming in the background as well, so I'm just kind of keeping an eye on the clock to make sure the wife's not overwhelmed. So, just kind of touching base on the taking cuttings, showed you quickly how to do it. If I'm not going to be using a arrow cloner, which I have been for outdoor season, I did so because I had to take multiples of cuttings to kind of get the garden ready. I won't mention the number, but I will say it was 36 at a time, and I started weeks ago. If I'm doing it by myself, just for a couple plants, I will just do this double cup method. It's cheap, it's effective, it kind of prevents for overwatering. I will take the first cup, I will poke my holes in. It's dirty in the bottom. You'll see, you're like, what's that black stuff? It's actually roots that have been saturated in my nutrient feed, which is blacker than, well, I'm not going to say that on air. But so I'll poke holes in 5 holes in the bottom. And on your solo cup, you have these little lines. For people who don't know, this one here is actually 1 ounce for taking shots or mixing drinks. It just makes it easier. I will fill the cup to that, the, the bottom cup. I'll float right there after I've already saturated all the cocoa and made sure the roots are taken hold. They've established themselves. And then from that point on, I'll just water until the water fills up that point. I'll let it sit. And once I go to check it, pick up the cup, see if it's heavy. If it's not, pop that out. If it's dry like that, well, then I'll fill it back up just that line. And if I keep doing that until I notice the cocoa on top go dark brown again, if it's gone completely dry, that way I know it's wicked all the way up. I do that because roots generally will suck water from the bottom, so I try and keep as much like nature inside as I can, despite using lights and vented air and all that fun jazz. I try and keep the plant somewhat on its normal life scale. Doing it that way, I've noticed probably 85%, 90% effective. It helps with not having things dampen off or too much. I wish I had it done. I went downstairs where if you overwater from the top, you have algae buildup. It's actually not good for your plants. As much as people think it's an ecosystem, it's not. It's not like the white mold that forms. The white mold's good. The green stuff is bad for once. Sorry, throat's a little parched here. So, like I said, for the taking cuttings that way, all you really need is some medium, 2 solo cups, some to pop holes in the water source. Now, when I take cuttings from plants, I do something that's a little, from my understanding, I mean, I've talked to a few people, they don't do it in the same way. So I think it might be a little one off. They'll, their nutrient feed for cuttings, they'll cut it right down. Even for example, see here, it might be flipped. This is my feed schedule for IPP. This is the veg cycle, flower cycle. In their rooted clones, they only gave it 250 ppms. In week 1, they upped it 700. In week 2, 1050, and then additional weeks for veg, they'll keep it the same. I won't do the rooted clones because for me, it's a mature plant. And when I put it in there, I expect it. Well, for me personally, cocoa doesn't carry any nutrients in it. It has, I don't know the proper term for it. Something exchange. It doesn't hold on to nutrients like peat moss will. That being said, I like to make sure there's nutrients in there for it to have something to eat on when it actually does establish roots, but not excessive amounts that it will cause burning. For people who don't know what burning is, for example, if you overfeed a plant just the right amount, you'll notice the tips on the leaves will go a little bit brown. That's called getting those nails done. My cat's eating my plant. Come here. Getting its nails done is okay. If you continue on that path, though, the leaf will slowly shrivel up and die, and your plant does not look healthy whatsoever, and it actually stunts growth, it hurts your yields, stresses the plant out. You can actually make it show intersex traits by doing that. Thank you, Raptor. Thank you. Cation exchange, inert media. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Some of us don't have an education in that sense. I'm terrible with grammar and just spelling in general, but I try my best. My cat continues to eat my plant. Should have had forethought on this. I muted myself. With the solo cups, I will generally do it that way if I'm just taking like 4 or 5 cuttings. If I'm doing a mass amount, so let's say 15 or more, I'm using my arrow cloner. Arrow cloners are great if you feel like you want to take a lot of the variables out. So essentially, I'll explain it quickly. You have a square pot. It's got a lid, a bunch of holes in it. It's got silicone collars that go in it that have a little slit in it. Your plant goes in there. So let me grab a cut in here. So you have your collar. Plant will sit at the bottom like that. You have sprayers in the bottom that sit in the water in a pump, and it just kind of sprays up and keeps it the moisture on the stem itself, but allows airflow so it doesn't actually choke itself out. I've had great success with them. That's one of the few times I actually will use the rooted clone mix because I don't want just to stress it out that quickly. Because for some reason I think with the excess oxygen, and the sprayers blowing the oxygen in the water as well. Did it again with the mix as well. I've noticed it tends to burn the plants if I do week 1 in that. That being said, every week I will change that water out and I'll re-pH it. I'll check the pH of it every night. I try and stay within 6 to 6.2. The lowest I will go is 5.9. I've noticed at 5.8, I'll start seeing wilting early. I don't use a dome on it. A lot of people do to keep the humidity up. To me, that plant needs to survive in that environment from the get-go. If it's not going to survive doing, just trying to take roots, I don't want to waste time with it. Call me lazy in a sense, but to me, it's survival of the fittest, and I only want the healthiest, strongest plants in my garden. I don't want to waste my time. Moment of silence for my throat. So we've covered over quickly, basically training for pop and twist. Like I said, I'll take my plant, put it up here, so you can see this one. So on the stem itself, I'll actually just take it, you shake it back and forth. I felt it there. It literally feels like if you pop your knuckle. It's the same thing. It goes just from stiff to a little bit loose. I don't want to go any more than that. All that does is it breaks up the fibers in the stalk itself. It'll use its food, try and do the repair first. It'll focus on repairing that versus growing up. I do it heavily during the first 3 weeks of flower. For certain strains, especially, they're known to just double, triple in size sometimes. And like I said, I have a 6.5 foot tent. I don't want to have to be taking my light, attaching it directly to the ceiling, and have no hangers. To me, that has nothing, like no advantages. I like to have a little bit of control. You can also do your LST, which is you pop holes in a planter. Obviously, in a solo cup, you can do it in a solo cup, though, I imagine. And you would just tie it down, let it sit like that. And as it continues to grow, it's going to grow out and try and follow the light so it's going to come back up. There's also fimming, which is like topping, but you end up just, instead of cutting off the node, you cut just the top of it. You can also pinch it. It just damages the cells enough that it's inhibited it from growing any further. Temporarily, it will repair itself and kind of grow. If you do fimming with scissors, it's gonna make those leaves look a little weird. Don't worry about it. Those leaves will look weird always. You've cut the tips off. It's like cut your fingers off. They're not gonna grow back. But you'll live. Dark analogy, but it works. Sorry, I'm going by this to my parents here. I left my notes in the basement. I got the plans, forgot the paper book. From that being said, for trellis, so I do a 3-layer trellis usually. It just helps me organize my space. Like I said, the bottom layer of my trellis will be completely leg stripped. The middle section, I'll take pretty much all the fan leaves that are facing inwards and not really anything that's overlapping, not going to get light. Um, Very top, I'll take all the big fan leaves off that have these purple petals. See me show it here. So that's purple. It's generally a good sign that leaves both they start wilting a little bit. It's going to be using all the nutrients from there. It could also mean signs of nutrient deficiency or toxicity, but that's a topic we'll get into another day with Cuz here because I'm assuming when you're dealing with that organically, you'd fix it differently than with a salt-based nutrient. For me, I would just, oh, my plant's hurting for potassium, add more potassium. For organic, I think you either have to do foliar spray or do a certain type of tea. For instance, I think it would be banana. It could be incorrect potassium. No, that's right. Um, so for trellis, I would actually work these heavily into the netting. So I'm my whole goal when I do a trellis is to fill the canopy. So I have a 5x5, and I have the bottom one will be 4-inch squares, I believe, 4 or 6. That just basically gives my starting point to where I'm going to be putting my branches through. The next one will be 3.5. Yeah, I think it's 3.5. So from there, I'm going to be kind of isolating branching off the lateral branching. So ones that look like they're going to be healthy, stock, and robust, I'm going to start working those ones out. So for instance, see, I find one here. Nope. Dark hollow. Still early, not on this one. But at the node spacing, they'll actually branch off more. You'll notice uh, it looks like potential pre-hair, the calyx starting to form, but it might be effectively a new shoot. So from there, I would actually branch those off. When you do topping, you'll notice the new shoots forming. If you just let kind of go with a bean pole, not so much. To everyone watching the show, cheers again. Thanks for having the time to watch and hang out. I do appreciate it. Kind of miss having someone to talk to. Cause next week, I'm gonna let you do all the talking. I'm gonna sit there quietly. You've been summoned. But yeah, so on the third layer of the trellis will just be to actually support the buds. That's just it's my 4-inch holes again. So I go big slots, small slots, big slots. Someone make the joke, please, in chat. And I just do that because it helps me just visually gives me a good point of reference on the plant where I'm going to do what, um, as well as if I were to leave, for instance, I have to go for work, and if someone has to take care of my plants, I can say everything from the one layer down, trim it down, yada yada yada. I explained this earlier. So from there, once you flip the flower, what I'm going to be looking for, not initially, but so these are cuttings. I know they're female. I've taken them myself. If you pop a seed, you don't know if it's a female or male unless you use feminized seeds. Even then, it's like 90% chance if you have great genetics that it might not be a male. I have had situations not from my genetics, but other breeders where you buy feminized seeds and either they're not feminized or they're just poor genetics. But what you'll be looking for, see if I can find a decent sized one here. What am I doing? Look at the ones that cut off. Easier. Perfect. So it focuses on it. Those two little things coming off each side, these big ones are actually new branching forming, but these little hairs coming off, that's a pistil and coming out of calyx. That tells me it's female. So in the first 7 to 10 days, you're going to see that, which is a good sign, or you're going to see little balls forming. If you see little balls forming, I would suggest getting that plant out of the tent right away, unless you want to take on an open pollination breeding project. Don't be rude. Don't put it outside and say, well, let nature take care of it. You're going to pollinate your entire neighborhood crop if people are growing outdoors, and you've become the asshole. That's not the Canadian way. If you do that, you should go outside, knock on every house for 2 miles and say sorry. What I would effectively do is I'd suggest composting it. I would take that male, put a bag over it, cut it down, take it outside. If you have a composter, put it in that. You can mulch it. I generally mulch it, or lately I've been trying to collect pollen, so you can make things called isolation chambers. If you want to get a good example one, Purple Thumb OG, he's got a hell of an idea. He's put in the effect. I don't think it was his idea, but he found it and kind of showed me it for an isolation chamber. It's essentially a big Tupperware clear bin. It's got a fan on it, filters, so no pollen can get in or out, but it has air exchange. And just so you can grow your male inside of a tent without pollinating the entire crop. Um, that's getting a little into the more advanced stuff. We're trying to keep it basic with 4 plants. And if you have a male, unfortunately, it does count for a plant on your plant count. So this is why some people, I can't endorse it, but you would do maybe 6 seeds and choose the best 4 when you're at this stage. Or, if you have a male or two, you have that already covered. If you don't, what you can do is take your cuttings that you have or you've taken from your plant and clone 2 more of the females you know of. Now, they won't be going at the same time. You won't flower at the same time. If you wanted to do that, you'd have to let the fresh cuttings catch up and keep trimming down your existing plants. Not saying it's impossible, but it is a lot of upkeep because remember, when you top a plant, it's like the Hydra in Greek mythology. For every one time you cut, 2 more heads will take its place. But if you have the time, the space, and I'm gonna say, if I'm gonna keep a plant and try and keep maintaining it for other plants to catch up, I better be rocking a trellis or a lot of stakes. As much as I don't want to do that, just to support that plant, because I've seen some monsters happen from doing that. Not me personally, but a buddy of mine did that from starting. I think he started his plant in October for the following year indoors for his outdoor grow. He ended up pulling just shy of 8 pounds dried from that thing. I won't release any names of them, but if he's watching the show, you know who you are, and it was good stuff. Oh, where are we at for time? 7:44. Oh, we have a new addition. Cheers, Canna Bus Driver. And 4 plants, eh? Nice to see you here. I can't smoke in the house, so I cheers you with the Rockstar. Because I'm a dad and I'm always tired. So we've kind of quickly gone through the topping, uh, kind of quickly training, getting ready for flower, essentially. Like, for getting ready for flower, I'm going to strip the legs, as we've noted before. I'm going to take off all the inside leaves that are facing inwards or anything overlapping. I'm going to take any big fan leaves that are on top. So if this was bushed out more, let's see if we can show you this way. This big fan leaf would go. And the other ones I'd leave on. But because, and this is hypothetically speaking, because this is really small, but it'd be blocking the light from this bottom shoot. So I want to allow the most amount of light into the plant as it can, just to allow the plant to photosynthesize the energy it needs. Because they are growing children, and we treat them as such. maybe not taking them apart, but hell, you feed them every day. You keep them going for 3 months, a little less. You're doing autos, and you get what you put into it. That's one thing I learned from my first grow to now is if you want to quickly put some seeds in the soil, throw in a little bit of water, and that's it. You can do that. You might get some luck every once in a while, but for the most part, I find it'll just kind of be growing mids. If you want to take the time, the effort, train your plants, do the upkeep, make sure everything's in point, keep up with an IPM, you will be treated well in the end. I'm not saying you can't fuck it up throughout the entire way. Uh, it doesn't take much in a sense to go through the entire grow, do what you need to. You've done the research, but when you get to the very final step, which kind of throws people for a loop. Me and Cuz are going to go through this. We're trying to figure out the best way to address it, but it's drying and curing. Um, what happens is if you cut down your plant and you let it dry and you think it's dry, when you go to put that bud into a jar for curing, the moisture on the inside is going to come on the outside. It's going to equalize. And if there's too much too much moisture inside the middle of the bud and it comes outside, and not to mention all the other buds you've put in there, it can create a great environment for mold. That's why we burper jars to make sure that nothing is like consistently in there in the sense of stale air. That's why we dump our jars first in, first out kind of thing. Keep cycling it through. Um, I have experimented with those drying racks. They do work, but if you don't want to flat spawn your cannabis, you're gonna want to keep rotating it. So it does add more work. I find I'd rather just chop my plant hanging upside down, let it dry the appropriate amount of time. And when I say the appropriate amount of time, this is a plant that's grown, it's budded, it's been hanging upside down. I'm gonna find a branch about this size, nothing big, maybe an eighth, thick. If you're metric, we'll say 3 mils, and I'm gonna bend it. And if it's dried properly, it's gonna snap. It's not gonna flex. It's not gonna go kind of feel like a straw and just go. It's gonna make a nice snap noise. If it makes that snap noise, you're generally in the right market. Um, if you do that, and you can be over dry at that point, but that's a safe point for me. I've always done it that way. First time I did it grow, I actually over dried it, and then we get into the thing of rehydrating your cannabis. You can do that with if you keep leaves from the grow itself and put it in the jar. They carry moisture, but you're thinking you've cut your weed down, you've hung it out, it's been drying for so long, you didn't store any leaves. I've actually gone as far as taking leaves from the same cultivar, putting in the freezer bags, and throwing them in the freezer just to keep onto it, just in case. There is other options you can use, Bovita packs, but if you put those in too early, for like if you use those to maintain your humidity for curing, it will actually leach the smell, a little bit of the taste from your final product. Just my personal, what I've known personally. Um, Science behind it, I have none. If you want to call it bro science, call it bro science. But I can just say from what I've grown, my best results have always been if I'm going to use a Bovita pack, it's for long-term storage only after I've done my full cure. And I long-term storage isn't in a glass jar for me. It's in a Ziploc bag. It's in a vacuum sealed bag, in a cool, dark place. No, no light exposure, because heat and light degrade THC over time. How long will I store onto it for? I don't think I've actually had cannabis stick around long enough to go bad. Um, I would say, like, I just smoked stuff. I had curing for a year. I know you say a year. It sounds like a long time, but it was a jar lost, forgotten in the back of the cupboard from my very first grow, and it was still good, very effective. That being said, we got 10 minutes left. kind of ramble like a madman for the last 50 minutes. My throat's starting to get dry. I'm gonna start winding down. So again, I'm just gonna have a quick reminder here about the giveaway. Giving away a 5-pack of Variety Seeds by Ari Genetics. To enter the contest, simply go to Instagram, follow Schwoobydoo, that's me, because I love it, and the Grow for Show. You should know what the Grow for Show is. You are watching it. If you didn't realize you're watching that, I want what you're smoking. Find the post on Schwoobydoo, that's me. It's a little 50-second video of just an update on my garden where we announce the contest. Tag 5 people, and then you've been entered. We haven't established a closing date for the giveaway yet because it's been busy. We haven't really touched base. But as it stands now, I would like to get the giveaway over by, let's say, we'll announce the winner the last Tuesday of July, just to give it time. Otherwise, ship, you might be a shoo-in for some Ivory seeds. I think there's been 4 entries, 5 entries, which I mean, it's better than nothing. If I'm a Game One man, I'm going to try and enter. At the same time, if I was ship, I would be hiding that stuff forever. Like, no, there's no giveaway. It's mine. It's mine. So yeah, sorry, I'm a little baked here. Just kind of winding down. We got that giveaway going on. My garden, like I said, it's week 6. Everything's looking really nice. There is one plant that I kind of having issues with. It's not that it's not healthy. It's either been overwatered or underwater. It's never truly praying. And when I say praying, I mean a leaf will stick straight up, effectively in a V shape, and it looks like it's praying because it's so happy. That's when you know you've in the sweet spot. Your VPD will be on point usually. The water schedule will be great. Um, Nutrient uptake, ppm levels is great, pH levels great. That's it. It'll be a good grow if you maintain that, and the plants always look like that. But yeah, so that's all week 6. Some will get cut down probably in the next 2.5 weeks. I know the AK will finish first. That one's already shown some cloudy, which is kind of early for itself, but it's also it's a fast finisher. Usually about 8 weeks in I chop it, so I'll start flushing that shortly. Good question, Cannabis Driver. How is everyone's outdoors? Feel free to post pictures on Instagram, tag the Grow for Show. Love to see everyone does their own personal setup. I'm getting my dad's stuff ready right now. I'll be posting pictures of his. I asked him what he wanted for strains. He said, whatever you think is good. Typical father response. Oh, you let me know. So I think I might try and give him something that's going to finish quicker because it's getting later in the season. Probably some AKs, as well as I've noticed is it the Dragon Punch? I've got a Dragon Punch in the veg area. It's showing some heavy pistils ready, pre-flowers. So I'm thinking it's ready to go outside shortly and with the little re-veg dance. If you don't understand what I mean, if you put a plant inside and let it flower or not flower, veg for too long in the wrong size pot, it will actually start the flower. As previously stated, because last time he was here, I have a plant that I've allowed this to happen to, and it just keeps getting stressed out, and it's been flowering now. I'd say about week 7. It's a golden goat. It looks like hell, but it's actually flowered right through, which I'm surprised hasn't hermed on me yet. People who just catch it and don't understand what the term herm is, it's intersex traits when it throws a pollen sac on a female plant, or a male plant starts throwing pistils, which if that's the case, weird. I'm pretty sure it happens. I've just never seen it firsthand. Or maybe don't keep a male around long enough for that to happen. But yeah, so we have 5 minutes left in the show. Kind of an update in the garden, update my dad's stuff. Um, because I love it's back next week. Thank God. Awesome to talk to. I won't be the crazy guy talk to a mic and a cat's ass. Again, I'd like to thank everyone who's watching the show. Uh, it's been great shooting the shit with you. I tried. I did what I could. And yeah, stay tuned for further content. If you have any suggestions for upcoming episodes, comment on the comment on the show. Hit the thumbs up and subscribe, and share the word of the show. Share the word of the show. Uh, Ideally, we're just trying to help people grow better cannabis. We in Canada we have a limit of 4 plants, so I started off that way. I have a good understanding of how to keep 4 going perpetually indoors. But if you're doing it outdoors, so just a quick little side note. If you're doing outdoors and I'm getting close to flowering time, so it would be when the light hits about 12 cycle roughly, but outdoors it could be or it's 13 or 14 hours of light. It's a spectrum on the sun itself that will actually trigger it far right, I believe. Um, from there, I would actually take some cuttings, take them indoors, and start those going for my indoor crop if I have accessible, if it's accessible to me. Uh, if you're doing outdoor crop only, don't worry about it. If you're kind of doing a perpetual grow and trying to get that way, start outdoors, save your money for your equipment for the outdoor season or during the outdoor season, and then when you take your cuttings, you should have enough money saved up. If you put away $25 for $25 a week, you can get a tent and a light. They'll get you started. You don't need to have everything right away. The basics I would suggest for an initial start would be a light, a tent, an event. That's it. Anything else would just be if it's just like a simple cutting, you won't be required right away, but you can start saving and adding to it as you go. That's what I did. It got me through the worst of it. And I say that because I remember starting off in a 2 foot by 2 foot by 4 foot little grow tent with a 300-watt Burple light for 4 plants. And yeah, it was someone else. It was really, really difficult. It actually forced me to upgrade to a 5x5 tent pretty quickly. But yeah, I'm hoping next week to actually have my phone going and be able to show you the grow. We can update that way. Uh, it's just too bad because my lights are usually off, so I have to pre-record it, bring it up here, bring it on the computer, and share it. But yeah, we will get you all a live feed hopefully soon enough for this garden of mine. Again, thanks for watching. I've had a great time shooting the shit with all of you. Oh, I never said hi to Purple Thumb OG. Thank you, bud. I'm glad you thought I did a great job. But yeah, I'd like to say thank you all for watching. It's been a pleasure, and